All right, 2 o'clock, everyone. It's our final Zoo to You virtual safari. I'm Carly. It is Giving Tuesday now, so thank you to everyone who has donated. We've raised more than $55,000 today, so thank you. The more you donate, the more we can reach that matching goal of $68,000. Our Board of Governors and our Leadership Council are going to match that $68,000, so everything you donate will have a double impact today, so we really appreciate everyone who's been watching all day, leaving supportive comments, asking great questions, and most importantly, donating those all-important dollars that we certainly need right now here at Denver Zoo. So this is our final virtual safari of the day. Hello, Abby. Abby has watched all 4 of these today, so we really appreciate it. Love seeing you pop in the comments. Hi, Angela. Happy to see you as well. So we're gonna flip it over and we're talking about hyenas today. So anyone who's come to Denver Zoo and come to our 2 o'clock demo in Pahali, East Simba will recognize this demonstration where we're gonna work with our 2 hyenas, Ngozi and Kibo. And to do that, I've got keepers Katelyn, Jordan, and Molly here to both do the training and answer your questions. So leave questions about our spotted hyenas in the comments. Hi, Linda. It is still beautiful out today. We're inside so we can do that training and get you up close with the awesome spotted hyenas. Hi, Tammy. All right, so we're flipping it around. Caitlin's gonna be working with Kibo, Jordan's gonna be working with Ngozi, and Molly will answer your questions. Hi, Barb from Wyoming. So I think we're ready to get started when you all are. So who are we bringing in first? Yes.
So in just a few minutes, we'll bring in Ngozi, our female spotted hyena, and I'll share everything there is to know about her and her partner Kibo. But for those of you that aren't familiar with our Africa's Greatest Predators demonstration, we do this every day when the zoo is open at 2 p.m. and we show you some behind the scenes of how we take care of our animals every day. This exhibit houses 21 different individual animals and 3 different species. So we have a pack of African painted dogs and 2 clans of spotted hyena, as well as 2 groups of lions. With our 2 newest additions, we now have 11 lions here at Denver Zoo that live in 2 different groups. So we're excited to welcome those cubs, but this exhibit is very busy and dynamic. It is rotational, so for those of you that have seen it, when we are open, we have several yards that are on exhibit, and the animals aren't always in the same place every day, which allows us to rotate them through different spaces. They can interact with each other, smell, see each other visually. It gives the animals some choice in their day, as well as just makes their lives more enriching and mimics how they would overlap territories with their competitors in the wild in Africa. So whenever Jordan is ready, we will bring in Ngozi, and you'll be able to watch a training session with her. So this is how we care for and work with our animals every single day. Ngozi is a 21-year-old female spotted hyena. She weighs about 140 pounds. It's typical for females to be larger than the males. And what you're watching is Jordan is doing an operant conditioning positive reinforcement training session with her. And our goal for these is that our animals voluntarily participate in their medical care. So in a position like that stand, Jordan can look at Ngozi's paws. She can touch them, and if we would ever need to apply any ointment or cream or maybe paw wax if their paws were dry, we can do that. Every behavior, though, has a purpose, and it allows us to take care of them better.
We're getting some questions. Miracle is 8, and she wants to know if hyenas really laugh.
They do laugh. So that is a vocalization that these guys are known for. However, here at the zoo, we don't really hear it very often because it is different than what our laugh is for. So when we're happy and laughing, it's because something's funny. When hyenas are doing that laughing vocalization, they're actually fearful or maybe excited and kind of agitated over maybe some prey that they had just gotten in the wild. So we don't really hear that vocalization here because it has a very different purpose.
I want to quickly say thank you to Ruth. She's one of our DZ volunteers, and she made the mask I'm wearing. So she said she just wanted me to know that she made it. So thank you, Ruth. I really appreciate it. And the other big question, is a hyena a cat or is it a dog?
That is a good question. Actually, neither. So hyena are their own thing. They're their own family, Hyenidae. So they're neither a cat, which is a feline, or a dog, which is a canine. But if you absolutely had to pick something, they're closer to felines, actually.
Closer to felines, but not technically either a feline or a canine. Oh, Xander has tuned in. He wants to know how many pounds of meat they eat a day.
So it varies based on their weight and their age and different physical abilities, but they get around 2 pounds a piece. And they eat through that. They inhale it almost instantly. Hyenas don't chew a whole lot unless they're chewing on something really hard like a bone.
Victoria wants to know, is a hyena's fur soft?
It's kind of coarse, actually. And in this position where Ngozie's laying down here, you'll see Jordan scratching her and touching her with a back scratcher, so that we keep our fingers nice and safe because these guys still have sharp teeth. But yes, when we have had the opportunities to touch their fur, maybe during a physical examination when they're under anesthesia, they're pretty coarse.
Pretty coarse, so not like a stuffed animal like our friends the penguins from earlier. So I hope that answers your question, Dominique. And can you talk about why their kind of backs are slanted down?
Yeah, there's a lot of theories to that. One theory is that body shape acts like a pendulum, so they're able to cover long distances out on the savannas without exerting a lot of energy. They can swing their back end and kind of have that loping gait to them. Also, you'll notice they have really big, thick necks and huge heads with a lot of muscle there. So they need that chest and back and upper body to be really supportive. And then in contrast, their back end doesn't really need to be as bulky.
Hi to Ivy and Lily and Becky. You're looking at Ngozi and Kibo. They're both 21 years old. And Katelyn's about to start working with Kibo at the door. So what will Kibo be kind of demonstrating for us?
So he'll run through some similar behaviors as Ngozi. Right now, Katelyn's asking him for something that we like to call different. It's a little bit different behavior where Kibo, the requirement is that he just does something different that he hasn't done before. And that just kind of gives you a sneak peek to the cognitive abilities of this species. They're actually extremely intelligent and one of our favorite species to work with because they do catch on really quickly. Their intelligence is compared to that of great apes. So it makes them really fun and also really challenging to work with these guys. But again, you'll see Katelyn ask different things, body presentations where we can do physical exams visually, and also just some more fun behaviors that keeps them interested.
Tina's wondering how many hyenas does the zoo have? We have 2 clans, but how many total?
So we have 4 total. They live in 2 clans, so 2 pairs, a male and female in each. We call Ngozi Kibo our veterans of Predator Ridge. They've been here since we opened this exhibit in 2004. And then we have our younger pair, which is 5 years old.
Becky says, thank you all for doing this. We're happy to bring this to you. It's nice for our keepers to kind of get, in the habit of doing these demonstrations again. So it's really fun for us. A lot of people are wondering what's their favorite meat.
Oh my gosh, anything. We joke sometimes that the hyena are the garbage disposals, but they literally eat anything. We feed them a huge variety of really high quality meats, pretty much any type you can think of, meat, muscle meat, bones, things like that. Even sometimes they get some vegetables as enrichment, and that is exciting, but they're very opportunistic in the wild. They will eat most anything that they come across. I would say some of their favorite things are the crunchy things like the large bones, that they actually can consume the whole thing. They eat bone, which is pretty impressive. No other carnivore really would eat a large amount of bone like these guys do.
Are either of our clans breeding pairs?
So Ngozi Kibo used to be. They are now retired because of their age, but they have had 7 or 8 cubs here over the years at Denver Zoo. And our younger clan, we do hope that they will breed. They're just reaching maturity now, and that is our hope that they will learn that behavior and we will have hyena cub again here.
We would love that. We're also pretty busy right now with our lion cubs and our not even 1-year-old lion tattoo. So we can wait a little bit for hyena cubs. Even though they are very, very cute. Catherine says hello. Catherine's one of our amazing volunteers who loves hanging out at Predator Ridge and giving people information when they come visit. Ashley's wondering why we're feeding them separately.
Good question. So hyena are super unique in the way that females are dominant. In the wild, in a clan, all of the female hyena would rank above any male. And Ngozi is very aware of that, and because of that, she gets first dibs on everything. So if we fed them together, she would not allow Kibo to really get anything. So in order to protect Kibo, make sure he feels safe and confident, and also so that we can feed them their individual diet amounts and make sure they get everything, we always feed them separately. Caroline's
wondering, what do you like best about working with hyenas?
Oh my gosh. I love their intelligence. I think it keeps us, it's challenging, it keeps us on our toes. And I think they're one of the most underappreciated species out there. They kind of get that bad rap from Lion King of being vicious and mean and scavengers. And I think in reality, they're really intelligent. They're successful hunters and predators, even way more successful than lions. And it's fun to kind of share that story with our guests.
Erica is watching from England. Hi, Erica. She wants to know what the average lifespan of hyenas is.
In the wild, they can live up to 20. In human care, there's been hyena that have actually lived to 40. But average is around late teens.
Late teens. So Ngozi is behind you. She's kind of like, are you going to feed me or what? So we might let her back out and hanging out with
her. Yes,
she
always gets a reward for going back out, and she knows that she has a meatball waiting for her.
So she's ready for it. So we might move over to the window and ask a few more questions so we can see them right after she gets her reward, her thank you for being so awesome and participating with us. Lala says her grandma's dog, Princess, doesn't let the boy dog eat until she eats either. So I think that would be pretty familiar. So Caroline, we explained that the hyenas, we don't really hope we hear them laugh because that's more of a fear or stress vocalization. But what you will hear if you're at the zoo is a lot of whooping from the hyenas. They can kind of get a whole bunch of animals started with their whoop, and it's a really fun vocalization. So if you've ever kind of walked around and think you've heard it, that's probably what it is. So what you're looking for is not a laugh, but a whoop. So we have spotted hyenas. Talk about the other species of hyenas.
So yeah, there's 3 other species. There are brown hyenas, striped hyenas, and then aardwolf that are all in the Hyenidae family. We used to have striped hyenas here at the Denver Zoo. We no longer do, so this is our only hyena representative. But they're all a little bit different. They look differently, have different diets, but the spotted hyena are very unique in their social structure and behavior.
Ryan's wondering how often we get the chance to weigh them.
We can weigh them actually daily if we wanted to. We have built-in scales in the floors of the building. There's a 10,000 square foot building behind those big rocks with many different spaces that we can work with the animals. So they're trained to stand on the scale and stand still so we can get those weights when needed. But we usually weigh them every other week.
Every other week. I hope that answers your question, Ryan. So they're kind of far away from our camera now. They've been down here, they've gotten their reward, they've done their training, so they're just kind of exploring the primary yard of Benson Predator Ridge. Christine wants to know, are they more of a night animal or a day animal?
They typically are very active in the evening, so kind of similar to cats. They do spend a lot of time sleeping during the day, conserving their energy when it's hot, and then hunting when it's cooler, maybe at dawn and dusk and into the evening.
Caroline's wondering if we get to do any other extra enrichment that we normally wouldn't be able to do since we're closed.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we've been able to kind of offer them more, not necessarily different things, but more things more often. Hyena are actually really challenging to enrich because because of their extremely powerful jaws and teeth, they are very destructive. So we need to give them things like metal balls or beer kegs, or really heavy duty items like that they cannot destroy. If we gave them plastic like we can with the lions and dogs, they would eat that. They even have been known to consume things like concrete and sprinklers from the yard and things like that. So very curious, and we have to be very careful. But their favorite things are typically like scents, different scents, either from other animals or perfumes. And they love paper items and things like that are safe for them to eat in small quantities, and they can shred and tear apart and scent mark.
So Jennifer is asking, do they interact or do they react to the lions or wild dogs when they can see them in the other yards?
Yes, they do. And that's one of the most enriching things about this exhibit is, although the species are never housed in the same space, we see a lot of natural behaviors. So we see them checking out each other's scents when they've followed each other into a yard. When they have visual, we see different displays or vocalizations or curiosity. So it is really enriching to all the different species. We see a lot of reaction from dogs towards lions, because in the wild, lions would be a painted dog's biggest competitor, and they're much larger. So the dogs know that they're safe, and they kind of like to show off and act really tough towards the lions across the hall.
Well, they have sort of left our view, so maybe we can go see our African wild dog pack, who's in the other yard. They are very interested in coming up close to the window because they see their favorite keepers inside Pahali Simba. So who are we looking at right now?
So right now we have Teddy. He's towards the left. He has a little notch in his ear. And then his brother, Livingston. And the rest of the pack members are out here. There's 4 offspring that are about 2.5 years old, and their mom and dad, Tilly and Jesse. But this is actually perfect because one of our biggest questions is, how do you tell a difference between hyena and painted dogs? So now you guys can kind of compare. You'll notice the dogs have white on them, which you will not see a spotted hyena with white coloration. And you can see the painted dogs are a lot more, they look more like your domestic dog with larger ears. They're more slender. They have a different body shape. And they all have that unique coat pattern of black and white and brown that is unique to each individual, just like our fingerprints and a tiger stripes.
And we're going to feature our African wild dogs next week too, so we'll get lots of good questions. But let's talk about Nigel for a minute. So one of the dogs that was just up here has gone over to his brother Nigel. Nigel is a tripod puppy. His rear leg was amputated almost 2 years ago. Talk about why.
So Nigel was the runt of the litter, and we noticed pretty early on that he walked a little bit differently than his siblings. And once we were able to get a closer look at his leg and do some x-rays, we realized he was born with actually an abnormal hip socket. So those of you familiar with anatomy, your femur bone sits in like a round socket of your hip. He didn't really have that hip socket. It was just not really formed. So we tried a lot of different options. We were hopeful maybe he'd grow out of it and strengthen that muscle, or we could do a surgery that could preserve that leg. But what we were seeing is that it was just uncomfortable for him, and it was something that was not going to resolve itself with typical measures, and specialists recommended that amputation is really his best option and least painful option long term. So he's actually a very tough kid. He has taken it very well. He can get around almost as his brothers and sister. He just takes breaks more often.
He just likes to rest. So he is awesome. I know a lot of people, a lot of domestic dogs are proud tripods and they get around great. So does Nigel, and the rest of the pack really does a great job protecting him and taking care of him, don't they?
They do, yeah. One cool thing about painted dogs is that they're a very altruistic species, and they take care of their injured or elderly pack mates, even in the wild. So Nigel's really lucky to be born a painted dog, and his family is really good for him. And they often let him get like the best bones and the best access, and they don't really pick on him. His brother Teddy even really likes to wait for him and make sure Nigel is coming.
Oh,
which is really sweet.
Isn't that just the sweetest thing? And who is in our maternity yard, our smaller yard today?
We have part of our lion pride out there today. So new mom Kamara is bonding with her cubs, and the rest of her pride members are visiting her visually through protected space. They haven't physically been with her yet, but we rotate them through in different combinations. So little Tatu, our 9-month-old lion cub, he spends time with his mom and dad throughout the day, and then Sabi gets to go out there as well.
So we have Aunt Molly.
Hi.
Heather's watching from Michigan. Hi there, Susie and Diane. So tell us a little bit about the cubs. We're still looking at the dogs, but the cubs are behind the scenes. They're so precious. How are they doing?
They are doing great. They spend a lot of time just nursing and napping, as to be expected. They'll be 2 weeks old on Thursday here, and they are gaining weight very quickly. They look very healthy. 1 male and 1 female, which is great. And we're just kind of going by Kamara's cues as when she's comfortable to be around her other pride members and kind of get back to her day-to-day life.
Well, we're so excited to eventually show you the cubs. We already have some videos and pictures on our Facebook that you can see, but we'll have more in the coming weeks. And Amanda says she just learned some new things, so that's exactly what we wanted. So we're so happy that you're learning more about both our African wild dogs and our spotted hyenas today. Caroline has a great question. Are there differences between how hyena and wild dog packs are structured in the wild?
Yes, definitely. So the hyena, like I mentioned, females are dominant, and every male is basically at the bottom of the totem pole in hierarchy, but under any female. Whereas the wild dogs or painted dogs, they have an alpha pair. So there'll be a male and female pair that are the leaders of the pack, and then subordinate individuals underneath them.
Ivy's wondering why this pupper has a little clip in his ear.
So that's just a natural little almost tear in his ear. Often when they're puppies, because they have such large ears and that skin is really fragile, when they wrestle with each other and things like that, they'll get tiny little tears, and that's Teddy's case here. He just had a little tear when he was a pup, and now it's just more obvious, but it's a really easy way to tell him apart.
Yeah.
But you'll see they all have kind of little notches and things that just happen naturally.
So Teddy has that left ear kind of halfway down, a little divot there. So it's pretty fun to watch him. Yes, Deb, if everyone wants to keep donating before we log off here and later throughout the day, we are matching $68,000 of those donations today. So we'd love to reach that number and double that impact. Every dollar really counts right now, everyone. So we appreciate everything you can donate, everyone who has donated. Even just watching these, letting us know you enjoy it is a huge boost for us here, and is really fun for us to host these live. So we really appreciate it. We'll see if there are any more questions. I think, Erica is wondering if Tatu will be recommended for breeding in the future.
We don't know yet.
He's still pretty young.
Yes, he's still very young. The lion species survival plan is obviously, it can be very complicated, and it all depends on their genetics and who they're related to. So he's a little too young to have a recommendation, but once he gets to around 2 years old or so, we expect him to have some sort of recommendation, whether it's breeding or just moving facilities to be with another pride.
Betty's wondering, are they target trained? Are our dogs as trained as our hyenas and our lions?
I would say our hyena far outperform any of our other species. However, all of our animals are target trained. That's one of the first things we teach them, because it helps them know how to move their bodies to a certain area, and it helps us shape those more complicated behaviors.
All right, and what do the African wild dogs eat?
Here at the zoo, they eat a ground beef diet, a really lean beef that's we get here locally. In the wild, they would eat a variety of things like impala and zebra, but we feed, again, same as hyena, just a large variety of meat products, bones, muscle meat, organs, and whole prey items as well.
You can see how Nigel gets around. He does a pretty good job on the different hills and surfaces of this habitat, so he's really thriving. All right, everyone, that's going to be it today. We have done 4 virtual safaris, and all 4 will be on our YouTube channel if you missed any of them. Ashley, we can't wait for you to come back either, so we want everyone to come visit us as soon as we open. Details on that will be coming, but for now, we are just so happy to be doing these Zoo to You virtual safaris and bring the zoo to you, show you how we're closed but still caring. Appreciate everyone who's donated today. We'll be talking more about the African wild dogs next week, and we'll be back tomorrow with our regularly scheduled 1 o'clock virtual safari, so we will see you then. Bye, everyone.